Hi everyone, Linda from Let's Talk Prepping. And I have to bring you this. I really don't want to, but I think it's time that we decide what we're going to do, how we're going to stop it. We have to start now because I think things are getting really bad. So I'm going to bring you this article by Michael Snyder, and please go look at it, pay attention to it, and let's decide what we can do to stop it right as soon as we can. I'm over here at thefallingdarkness.com, thefallingdarkness.com, January 27, 2023. The nuclear war we have been relentlessly warned about is now right on our doorstep. And Michael Snyder, it just says by Michael, but that's usually Michael Snyder. Once the nukes start flying, there's no going back. So I hope that you all understand we are playing for all the marbles here. Sadly, our leaders don't get it. And that is so true. You know, I'm sure they don't even think about it, or they're being paid off, or whatever it is. But we've got to convince them that we don't want this, that we want peace. So they just keep escalating the conflict in Ukraine. And on Thursday, Russia responded to the news that the U.S. and Germany would be giving highly advanced tanks to the Ukraine by firing a barrage of missiles and drones across the country. The Russians are now so invested in the war, there's no way they could ever go back. And of course, the same thing is true for the Biden administration. Joe Biden has staked his presidency on winning the war, and Congress has approved $100 billion in total aid for Ukrainians. And we know most of that's not even going for aid. It's going for kickbacks and everything else. And he says Donald Trump warned about it the other day. He says we must end this war before the nukes start flying, and that is so true. And Joe Biden once warned that we were facing World War III if we ever sent tanks into Ukraine. We are providing more funding for the war in Ukraine than everyone else combined, more military equipment than everyone else combined, more ammunition, and more military intelligence. And then we're flying the Ukrainians into our country for training. But the truth is that this has become our war, and the Russians understand this very clearly. Over and over again, the Russians have threatened us with nuclear weapons, but for some reason we're not taking those warnings seriously. This week, the head of the Russian lower house of parliament wrote something that should send a chill up all of our spines. He said that our sending additional weapons could heighten the war in Ukraine to a new level that could result in global catastrophe. And these comments were broadly taken to mean nuclear weapons. And he's joined other high-ranking officials who have recently threatened a significant escalation of the unprovoked war in the Kremlin. But the Biden administration can't back down now. They've pushed all their chips into the middle of the table, betting everything that the war will be a success. So more escalations are inevitably coming. It's time for the American people to face the truth. We're at war and there's no way out. And recently, an extremely long line of tanks was spotted rolling across Kansas, and they do a video on that if you'd like to look at it. So if the American people truly understood what was at stake, there would be massive protests in every major U.S. city right now. But they don't understand what is at stake. We are literally closer to nuclear annihilation than we have ever been in our entire history. And the Russians have actually been preparing for such a scenario for decades. And it says, unfortunately, the backbone of the U.S. strategic nuclear arsenal is made up of hopelessly outdated Minutemen missiles that went into service in the 70s. Would you want a computer or a phone from the 70s? Well, then why would we want to fight a nuclear war with missiles from the 70s? But instead of addressing that glaring need, the Pentagon is gearing up for a conventional war on multiple fronts. And of course, this is making arms manufacturers very happy. One way or another, the military-industrial complex always seems to win. But if a nuclear war erupts, there will be no winners, only losers. Since Joe Biden has been assuring us that the war in Ukraine can be won without nuclear weapons ever being used by either side. Do you believe him? Hopefully they're correct, because if their gamble fails, it will literally mean the end of civilization as we know it. So, I never thought in my lifetime I would see this, or I would feel that we were this close to a nuclear war. But we are. So what can we do about it? Well, all I can think of is we have to tell everybody we know and get everybody we know to start lobbying Congress, our congressmen and women, our senators. Will it help? Probably not. But if we have a barrage of people just calling and writing and emailing and texting and doing whatever is possible, maybe something will help. Will it help if maybe we go to the media somehow? If we just call all the TV stations and leave messages, will that help? I don't know. But we need to do something. We need to get this grassroots effort going. We need to say, look, we don't want a nuclear war. Let's have peace. We've got to do something to save ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren. So if you have any ideas of what we can do, let us know in the comments below, because even the preppers aren't going to be safe if it's a nuclear war. None of us will be safe. So I think it's up to us now to really say, what can we do? Let's do it, and at least start trying to do something. So thanks for listening, and I hope to see you in the next video.